So this week I have to do a voiceover presentation for my international trade class for extra credit, and since I don't have time to upload a video for this week, I thought I'd merge the two together. So it's kind of like my way of killing two birds with one stone. I mean, you're watching this at school, like, hey, I have a channel, subscribe maybe? Anyways, that is all the time I have for today. Please hit like on the presentation so I can get 5 extra credit points. Exactly. I'll see you guys next week. In this presentation, we'll cover whether the U.S. should join the TPP or not. Some of the things we'll cover include what is the TPP, what is its purpose, and the pros and cons from the United States perspective. And from then on, we'll draw our conclusion. So first off, what is the TPP? The TPP is short for Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it's a proposed regional regulatory and investment treaty. It originally started with just 3 countries, Chile, New Zealand, and Singapore, and as the years went by, more and more countries actually wanted to be part of this free trade agreement. So by 2008, the United States had asked to join, and from then on, it was only obvious that Canada and Mexico should join because they're already part of a free trade agreement through NAFTA. So as of today, in 2015, there are 12 countries: Brunei, Chile, New Zealand, Singapore, US, Australia, Peru, Vietnam, Malaysia, Mexico, Canada, Japan, Taiwan, and Republic of Korea. There are other countries that also are interested in joining, such as the Philippines, Indonesia, Colombia, India, Bangladesh, and China has shown an interest in joining. But that is a whole nother topic. So what is the TPP's purpose? Well, according to the Office of the United States Trade Representative, under the Trans-Pacific Partnership Summary of the U.S. Objective, it is a proposed free trade deal currently being negotiated between 12 countries. The pact is aimed for stronger economic ties between these nations. It is expected to substantially reduce tariffs and even eliminate them in some cases between members' countries and help open up trade in goods and services. It is also expected to boost investment flows between the countries and further boost their economic growth. The member countries are also looking to foster a closer relationship on economic policies and regulatory issues. So let's look at some of the benefits coming straight out of the United States Trade Representative fact sheets of why the TPP is in the benefit of the U.S. economy. So the TPP boosts exports and economic growth, creating more jobs and prosperity for all 12 countries involved. It increases exports by $305 billion per year by 2025 for the U.S. Exports increased by $123.5 billion, focusing on machinery, especially electronical, autos, plastic, and agriculture industries. The agreement adds $223 billion a year to income of workers in all the countries, with $77 billion of that going into the U.S. workers. Now let's look at it from an economics perspective. So 3 of the highly respected labor and trade economics whose seminar has actually documented job losses due to trade liberalization have come out in favor for the TPP. In an essay for the Washington Post Outlook sector, David Otter, David Thorne, and Gordon Hanson argue that the potential gains for the TPP for the United States are significant, with a reminder that those manufacturing job losses from importer competition are not going to come back no matter what is done to the TPP. So these economists have estimated net 2 million to 2.4 million jobs were lost due to imports from China over the period of 1999 to 2011. Studies shows that an increased trade has actually indeed been a contributor to the steep decline in manufacturing employment for the United States, as we can see in this graph. They actually went forward and said that as much as we might like to return to 1970 when manufacturing comprised a quarter to the U.S. non farm employment, that's impossible without massive protectionist barriers that would isolate the U.S. economy and lower the U.S. living standards. They also went on saying that halting the TPP would not assist the U.S. manufacturing or benefit the U.S. workers. Instead, they argued that the importance to support the trade agenda that promotes policy that helps U.S. companies thrive in sectors where they are most strong, such as the TPP, deserves praises for several reasons, according to them. So, given the United States is generally low level on tariffs on goods, a number of TPP countries actually already have access to the US market. Another thing is that the TPP promises liberalized trade in services and agriculture, two areas in which the United States enjoys trade surplus, as we can see in this figure. Furthermore, the TPP aims for a strong rule on intellectual property and investments, essential both for protecting U.S. firms and boosting trade in technology and knowledge intensive products and services, in which the United States already has a competitive advantage in. Like in 2013, charges for the use of intellectual property in telecommunications and information technology services combined accounted for 24% of the total U.S. exports, services and exports, as we see in Figure 3. In particular, increase in foreign direct investments, both at home and abroad, means more jobs, and spending on research and development and productivity gains to the U.S. economy. So, if it sounds so positive, then why do people oppose it and why is it such a controversial topic? Then we'll talk about why people are against it. Free trade agreement contributes to income inequality in high wages countries by promoting cheaper goods from low wage countries. This would be particularly true for the TPP because it protects patents and copyrights. Therefore, the higher paid owners and of intellectual property would receive more of the income gains. The agreement regarding patents will reduce the availability of cheaper genetics, making many drugs more expensive. Competitive businesses pressured will reduce their incentives by Asia to protect the environment, and also because the trade agreement could supersede financial regulations. And this is according to the Public Citizen Eye on Trade and was last revised on September 12, 2014. In addition, the TPP could possibly be very detrimental to the environment. Under the leaked TPP Environmental Chapter, corporations could sue governments should they enact environmental legislation that could hurt their businesses. Essentially, the TPP asserts to the world that businesses' profits are much more important than the health of this earth. The partnership would allow companies to sue countries instead of working in the best interest of their people. Governments of the member nations would be liable for damages and compensations if the passed legislation that hurt the foreign companies' businesses. Environment, public health, zoning codes, all of those are potential vulnerabilities under the TPP depending on the wording of the final draft. Intellectual property laws could once again be strengthened, and while some protectionists are a good thing and help to ensure creators are properly rewarded and for the time and effort they have put in, if taken too far into legislation, it can prove detrimental to creativity and innovation. So, in conclusion, there are several things that we need to look at when determining whether the US should join or not. First off, we need to be aware that the TPP will move forward with or without the United States. So, all of these countries will actually have free trade among them, and the US would be excluded from that. And while trying to export and import, there will still be tariffs working against the United States. And in addition to that, the United States already ships more than $1.9 billion in goods every day to TPP countries. So if the United States were to be part of this, it could actually be better off if they were to join instead of not joining. So it really depends from what perspective you're looking at it. Because if you're looking at it from an economic perspective, it could actually be really good for the US. In addition, the TPP could also be about setting new rules and standards that could serve as a template for future trade deals. This puts a competitive liberalization pressure on the United States non-FTA trading partners like China to elevate their practices and to meet some sort of standard. It could also improve prospects for future deals with the United States. A deal with China like the TPP would help level the playing fields for the US economy and offer recourse to protection like investors and dispute settlements. So, this is looking at it from a very positive assessment. It's based on the expectations that the TPP is set up with high standards and comprehensive deals. Economists don't say outright, but it also serves as a reminder that the benefits from trade agreements and trades and investment liberalizations more broadly are in the long run gains from helping to shift workers and reduce towards country's most productive firm and industries. And no one has claimed that the TPP or any other trade will be positive outcome in the short run for household incomes in the United States. But small increments in productivity from many sources say that the ultimate key is for a nation prosperity in the long run. And in addition to that, they would have to revise the environmental chapter in order for this to become a more positive outlook than the negative, and in order for the pros to outweigh the con. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you.